Department of Sociology. I am presenting this on behalf of my friend from Sri Lanka, from University of Colombo. Uh, uh, Actually, she has sent me all the presentation and the paper to read out. So what I can do, I will read out. I'm sorry, I'm not the expert in this area. Uh, Introduction. Nonviolence today has turned into a more imminent cry of mankind than in any other period of mankind's history. In the antiquated circumstances, when science and innovation were in their infancy, men could bear to be violent. Yet, in the mid-20th century, when the world has been isolated into two warring camps, the need of nonviolence was pivotal. This paper intends to illustrate how Mahatma Gandhi's philosophy of nonviolence influenced and contributed to develop 21st century theories of legitimate social change. Gandhi's philosophy is understood as a maximal and universal rejection of violence and war. Nonviolence action can be defined as a form action that does not involve violence or force. Mahatma Gandhi, with his South African experience, became the pioneer person to develop the idea of nonviolence through satyagraha. Truth and nonviolence are the twin pillars on which rested the entire framework of the Mahatma Gandhi's glorious life and work. Gandhi opened a new era of nationalism through Indian independence by portraying the nationalist protests in the language of nonviolence. Mahatma Gandhi presented the particular empathy related to the process of decolonization in the 20th century. Gandhi comprehended that a peaceful world request isn't just an otherworldly duty with respect to people all around, however, should be regulated both politically and financially in a democratic manner at all levels of administration. Gandhi's path to nonviolence. Western scholars like Tolstoy, Ruskin, Thoreau, Socrates, Cartel, and Emerson additionally impacted Gandhi. Tolstoy, Tolstoy, the Russian author and scholar, impacted Gandhi in particular. Tolstoy, by his book The Kingdom of God is Inside You, overpowered him in particular. Gandhi said that it cleared out a standing impact on him. The kingdom of God is inside you, and was profoundly inspired by it. I was at that time a believer in violence. Its pursuing cured me of my suspicion and made me a firm adherent of Ahisma. Ahimsa was the basic rule of Gandhi's whole life. It was for him a guidance as well as a for lifestyle. Reverend Joseph D. Daw, the man biographer of Gandhi, is of the sentiment that the random works of Tolstoy, particularly on clinical, religious, and associated issues, were followed out, pursued, and pursued by Gandhi. Doke calls him a supporter of Tolstoy. The standard of peacefulness depends on affection for the whole humankind. Both Tolstoy and Gandhi received the instrument of adoration to take care of all issues in their lives. What's more, additionally, they trusted that peacefulness could cure every single social disease, expel political ills, and build up tranquility on earth, generosity among humanity. Gandhi's influence on Western thought. Gandhi influenced two of the most important mass mobilizations, the civil rights struggle for equality of African Americans and Cesar Chavez, and advocacy for Latino frameworks. African American leaders such as Howard Thurman and Benjamin Mays undertook lone voyages to India on ocean stream to meet Gandhi, while W.E.B. Du Bois corresponded with him. King was himself introduced to Gandhi's vision by African American Gandhians such as Mordecai Johnston and Bayard Rustin. Chavez tracted his political awakening to where he saw at the age of 12 Gandhi as a man without a gun who conquered the might of the British Empire. Chavez modeled many of his tactics on Gandhi, from boycotts to hunger strikes. Nelson Mandela, the Dalai Lama, imprisoned Burma's Nobel uh, Aung San Suu Kyi, gentleman Nobel Peace Prize winner Roberta Minochu, all these gains of recent have acknowledged Gandhi as a guiding light. Gandhi's metaphysics of nonviolence helped inspire movements that toppled dictators from Ferdinand Marcos in the Philippines in 1986 and Augusto Pinochet in Chile in 1989 to the communist regime in Eastern Europe in the late 1980s and Slobodan Milosevic in Yugoslavia in 2000. Nonviolence and social change. Cases of major nonviolence trumps are numerous. The energy of peaceful protection was shown significantly in mid-2011 in the unarmed upheavals of Tunisia and Egypt, as a huge number of individuals filled the bulwarks to oust fascism. The violent unrest of Central and Eastern Europe in the late 1980s cut down the Berlin Wall and cleared the away socialist administration over the local. The general population control, development of the Philippines finished the tyranny of Ferdinand Marcos in 1986. Peaceful protection was definitive in the last phases of the South African opportunity development that finished politically sanctioned racial segregation. Peaceful developments created through Latin America in late decades, finishing military fascism in Chile and democracy in governments all through the landmass. Peaceful power prompted the topple of Slobodan Milosevic in Siberia in 2000 and was felt in the rose, orange and tulip unrest in Georgia, Ukraine and Kazakhstan in 2003 to 2005. Mass common defiance in Nepal finished the government and re-established democracy in 2006. The techniques for peaceful protection have realized noteworthy political change and social change on each mainland. These examples explain how Gandhi's metaphysics of nonviolence comprehends a maximal and all-inclusive dismissal of violence and war by displaying authentic occasions which happened in various zones. Metaphysics of nonviolence and legitimate social change in the 20th century. The developing suitability of nonviolent options to war is established in the rise of new potential outcomes for settling and changing conflicts. The improvement of new learning and practice for the anticipation of violent clashes requires an expanded elucidation of the simply war, classification of final result. If elective methods for settling differences and staying away from violence are accessible, this changes the ethical math of war and takes out the support for falling back on outfitted violence in particularly every situation. The rising components of concentration, change, and violent peace building show that gatherings to a contention can discover a method for settling differences on the off chance that they are truly integrated. Democratic peace hypothesis has been approved by observational investigations demonstrating a solid relationship amongst democracies and peace. Developing popularity-based social orders never take up arms against each other. As Bruce Russell and others have demonstrated, techniques to progress unpretentious democracies can counteract war. Empirical investigations likewise affirm that connection amongst peace and mandatory reliance, increased exchange streams between countries are related with lessened reoccurrence of war. Solid experimental confirmation additionally demonstrates that states taking an interest together in universal organizations, the European Union being the best case, are less inclined to take part in military thrust towards each other. Gandhi's impact regarding political systems that need not bother with a metaphysical or religious establishment depict how pacifism can be practiced in even the most socially confined settings. Beside an examination of Gandhi's metaphysical establishment through his logic of nonviolence and practice elucidates a stark connection with the advanced speculations of unfivils. Real social change inside genuinely democratic social orders obviously is dependably non-violent. Word insurgency through world law impile establishing real world democracy without a precedent for history. This essentially involves accumulating native support in overseeing as well as altering worldwide financial aspects to one that encourages all inclusive flourishing. Therefore, as Gandhi puts it, in order to achieve legitimate social change, powers who have control over the engine of destructions have to wholly renounce their use. With full knowledge of the implications, only then can the metaphysics of nonviolence proceed in generating permanent peace. This is clearly impossible without the great powers of the world renouncing liberation from violence. You can email any questions to this email now.
All right,
Yes.
thank you.